Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. And yes, there was no episode of Mingles with Jingles last week. Last week I was in Birmingham at the Genting Arena at the National Exhibition Centre, taking Rita for a Christmas present, which was to watch Phil Collins perform live for the first time in 10 years. He's an old man, you know, he's 66 years old, and he's got a 16-year-old son, the dirty old bastard. But yeah, Rita's a huge Phil Collins fan, and so you're never going to get the opportunity to see him again. I mean, like I said, he's 66, he's never going to tour again. So you'd think that she would have been a lot happier about it, because she did nothing but cry her eyes out all the way through the performance. I don't understand. Well, wait, tears of joy. Yeah, that's right, I get it. So yeah, she really enjoyed her Christmas present. Have to admit, not a huge Phil Collins fan myself. I mean, I don't actively dislike his stuff, I just prefer my rock to have a little bit more of a bite to it. But he's written some good stuff, and it was a very, very good show. So, yes, that's why there was no Mingles with Jingles last week, as you all should be completely aware, of course, because I mentioned it in the Mingles with Jingles the week prior to that. But for some strange reason, so many people were saying, Jingles, where's Mingles with Jingles this week? It's my favourite video that you do. I was so looking forward to it. Now, call me a wizened old cynic, but I can't help but detect the slight trace of bullshit emanating from some of these comments. If you're such a huge fan of Mingles with Jingles, you'll have seen it 2 weeks ago and will know exactly why there wasn't an episode of Mingles with Jingles last week. Yeah, that's right. I'm wise to your tricks, you lot. Anyway, if you liked that, you're going to love this, because of course Christmas is approaching, and Christmas is that time of year when all respectable, evil, gnomish overlords put their feet up, kick back, relax, and take some time off, and this year is absolutely no exception. I'm going to be hanging up my spurs and taking a 2-week break from the 18th of December until the 1st of January, so I'll be back in the new year. Now, those of you who've been around here for a while will probably know exactly what to expect from this point on. I say, yep, I'm taking some time off, and then I get bored and I put a video up anyway. And I suspect that that is exactly what's going to happen this time around, because, well, I'm just as crap at taking time off as I am at everything else. This time around, however, thanks mostly to those of you who have taken the trouble to support me on Patreon, I think I'm going to be doing things slightly different. And massive, huge, big thank you to everybody who does support me on Patreon. I really don't thank you lot enough, and I definitely don't do enough for you. And so that's something that I plan to change. First and foremost, from here on in, starting with this episode of Mingles with Jingles is going to be ad-free from now on. It's basically funded directly by the people who support me on Patreon. So if you don't support me on Patreon, that's absolutely fine, but thank those of you who do for an ad-free Mingles with Jingles experience. Now, the second thing that I wanted to do to more directly thank the people who support me on Patreon was that when I inevitably get bored during my 2-week Christmas break, because I'm crap, and upload a video anyway, I've decided that starting this year, any videos that I upload when I'm taking some time off are going to be patron only. The one thing that I never wanted to do when I set up the Patreon page was to start creating exclusive content just for Patreon supporters. I never wanted, for example, Tuesday to be Patreon video day, so nobody else could see the video that I uploaded on Tuesday, for example, and it was only available to people who were paying me money. I never wanted to go down that route. You should always be able to see your daily video, regardless of whether you choose to support me on Patreon or not. But at the same time, that makes it kind of difficult to actually create exclusive content just for the people who are supporting me on Patreon. So I thought, well, if I'm taking a break anyway, and I do get bored and put a video up, which is going to happen, if I make it patron only, nobody else is missing anything, because nobody else was expecting a video. So I decided that that seems like a reasonable way of compensating the patrons for their support on Patreon without pissing everybody else off. Now, what I suspect is probably going to happen is I'll create a Patreon-only video over Christmas, put it up on YouTube unlisted, and then make a patron-only post on my Patreon page saying, hey patrons, here's a special video for you. There's 1,100 patrons out there. You just can't keep a secret in a group that big. Somebody is going to leak the link to the video, so everybody's going to be able to see it at some point. Of that I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever, and I really don't care. If it happens, it happens. I'm certainly not going to be upset about it. But the decision to leak the link should be theirs, not mine. We'll see how long it takes. We'll see how long it takes for one of the patrons to post the link to the exclusive patron-only video somewhere, and I'll see you in the comments when it happens. How long do you expect it's going to take? I'm going with within an hour of within an hour of the video being uploaded and posted on Patreon. I'm going to see comments appearing saying, haha, I don't support you on Patreon because somebody leaked the link. And I don't mind, of course, but like I said, the video will be created, or videos over my 2-week break will be created just for my Patreon supporters. And if they choose to share the link, well, thank them in the comments. And while you're there, thank them for Mingles with Jingles being free of advertising from here on in. While we're on the subject, there is one video that I am definitely going to be doing over my 2 weeks off, which is not going to be Patreon exclusive. So keep an eye open. Anytime after the 17th of December, and there's going to be an Airsoft video going up, because on the 17th of December I'm going back up to Combat South to take part in the annual Christmas Fancy Dress Airsoft game. It's a special event that they hold at Combat South every year in December, and it's not really so much about playing Airsoft as it is about turning up in the most ridiculous costumes and just having fun. So, of course, I had to decide what costume I was going to wear. Now, while it's not really about winning or losing, you still want something that's comfortable to be running around in the woods, so, well, that rules out this. I've only ever worn this thing once. I'm glad I did it, but I'm not in any rush to do it again. It takes about 2 hours to get into it. Bits are always falling off. And it is cool as all hell, but you can't see a thing. You sweat like a sports instructor on a spelling test, and it's just not practical for running around in the woods. On the bright side, getting shot when you're in that outfit wouldn't hurt, but you'd get shot a lot because it's bright white and you can't really do anything in it other than stand up. Even crouching over is hard work when you're wearing a stormtrooper costume, so yeah, not entirely practical. So it has to be something that's at least reasonably comfortable to wear, and while you're not really too concerned about winning or losing the games, you do have to actually be able to play Airsoft in it. So I suppose this could work. The only problem is, it's not very warm, and it gets bloody cold out in the woods at this time of year. That also rules out the Battlestar Galactica costume. Rules out the Dark Jedi outfit as well, but I've worn that to a Combat South Christmas game before, so I don't, you can't turn up in the same costume 2 years running. What would people say? Well, hang on. I do have several military-themed outfits, like World War II 82nd Airborne Division, or Vietnam 173rd Airborne Brigade kit, but, well, that's the sort of stuff that people wear to Combat South Airsoft games every week anyway. If I'm turning up with the M1 Garand Airsoft rifle, I'll be wearing a World War II themed kit. So there's nothing really special about that. And then it occurred to me, the penny dropped. Well, I do actually have an outfit that is tough, hard wearing, warm, and is actually designed for fighting. Judge Jingles will be making an appearance at the Combat South Fancy Dress game this year. Covered head to foot in leather and rubber, I shouldn't have to worry about getting shot or getting cold. And, of course, Dread's Lawgiver was actually modelled on a Glock 17. And I have an Airsoft Glock 17 gas blowback pistol. I also have an Airsoft Glock 18C full auto gas blowback pistol, and numerous magazines that fit both. So, yeah, sorted. That might not be such a good idea, however, because, well, gas blowback pistols are awesome fun because they work just like real pistols. The only problem is, because they're powered by refrigerant gas, the colder it gets, the worse the performance of the pistols. So that might not be such a great idea, and I might have to take something electric along, just in case. But I don't anticipate actually spending too much time playing. I'll probably be running around with a video camera, filming people playing, and stooging around in the safe zone, eating all of the Christmas food. They're putting a hog roast on this year, so pork, nom 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 nom. If you're in the Portsmouth area and you fancy a good laugh next Sunday, there are still some places available for the Christmas special. All of the tickets that include the hog roast lunch have already been sold, but they still have places available if you just want to turn up and play and provide your own food. Everybody who turns up gets entered into a raffle. There's a whole bunch of prizes get given away every year, including airsoft guns, ammunition, consumables, equipment, and so on and so on. Prizes awarded for the best costumes. I'll put a link down below in the video description. You never know, somebody might turn up as a result of it. But that's what I'm going to be doing next weekend. There will definitely be a video of this. It should be hilarious. And it's not going to be patron only. So at some point after the 17th of December and before the 1st of January, there will be an Airsoft video of the Combat South 2017 Christmas Fancy Dress Airsoft game. And it will be available to everybody. It's not going to be patron only. Any other videos that I upload between those two dates are going to be patron only, but if they choose to share the link and make it available to everybody, well, you know, that's up to them. I'm certainly not going to complain. While we're on the subject of Sunday the 17th of December, I received an email this week from a gentleman who goes by the name of Dan Morell. He contacted me with regards to a Kickstarter project, but it's, well, not your average kind of Kickstarter project. Bit of background information. In 2015, a team of archaeologists discovered an incredibly well-preserved German trench fortification system that had been undiscovered until then near a place called Hill 80 in Flanders in Belgium. While they were digging up the site and doing their initial survey, they found not only a comprehensive German trench system that had been incorporated into the local farmhouses to create a virtually impregnable defensive position, but they also found a lot of bodies of the British and German soldiers who fell there when the place wasn't actually taken in battle until 1917 at the Battle of Messines. So what they want to do is, well, basically two things. They want to provide proper burials for all of the British and German soldiers who have been discovered at the excavation site. And they want to properly excavate and preserve the German fortification and trench system. And they've started a Kickstarter project in order to fund it. They require 140,000 euros to see this project through to its completion. Now, with 5 days of the Kickstarter left to go, they've gotten just over halfway there, with around about, I think, 77,500 euros raised. Obviously, they'd appreciate any help they can get. I'll put a link down below in the video description to their Kickstarter page where you can see exactly what it is that they're trying to do in slightly more detail than I can give you in a few minutes in Mingles with Jingles. They've done videos showing what it is that they're trying to do, how they're trying to do it. The Kickstarter page also has comprehensive details on what you can expect to receive in return for pledges that you decide to make. So link down below in the video description for the Kickstarter, which is about halfway there with 5 days to go. The Kickstarter ends on Sunday the 17th of December when I'll be at the Combat South Christmas Fancy Dress game. They're just over halfway there and they need your help. Link down below in the video description. Anyway, back to that 2-week Christmas break that I'm going to be enjoying. I'll tell you what, there's one thing that I'm definitely going to be doing during my 2 weeks off, and that's live streaming. I do actually enjoy live streaming. I never thought that I would, and I'm very glad that Rita kind of pushed me into it because it is fun. The problem is that, well, putting these videos together occupies an awful lot of time and effort. I have absolutely no idea how somebody like Quickie Baby does it, because he's putting videos up all the time and he's streaming all the time. The guy must work like a man possessed. I don't know how he does it. But if I'm not putting a video up every day on my 2-week break, I can do a bit more of what I enjoy, and I do enjoy live streaming. Actually, while we're on the subject of that, you're probably aware that I bought a new PC not too long ago, and it was almost as a direct result of when I was live streaming some World of Warships a month or two ago. And what was happening during the course of the live stream was the frame rate was dropping, and people were getting, well, people thought they were getting dropped frames. So, I checked the various behind-the-scenes stuff, and there were no frames being dropped. And yet the stream itself was down to around about 20 frames per second or below. So, naturally, everybody in stream chat did what people in stream chat do, and they tried to ascertain the reason for the shitty performance of the stream, and people came to the conclusion that while my PC was perfectly adequate for playing World of Warships with a good frame rate, It wasn't quite up to the task of playing it and streaming it at the same time. And that seemed like a fairly logical conclusion, and it's one of the major reasons why I went out and bought a new PC. But it's not quite as simple as that. I can play World of Warships on this new PC at 75 frames per second on ultra graphic settings at first. And I was noticing, even while not streaming, playing World of Warships, because it's got the frame rate counter up there in the top left corner of the screen. And I'd noticed that when I started playing World of Warships, even when I'm not streaming it, I would get 75 frames per second. But after about an hour and a half, exactly the same as when I was streaming World of Warships, the frame rate would start to drop until eventually it was just about unplayable, 20 frames per second or less. And I'd have to restart the game. So I thought, wow, the problem isn't actually with the PC. It's not that the PC wasn't good enough to play World of Warships and stream it at the same time. Or maybe it was, but the new PC is definitely good enough to play World of Warships and stream it at the same time. And yet even when I'm not live streaming, I'm suffering exactly the same frame rate issues after about an hour and a half of playing World of Warships. So could it be that World of Warships is just an incredibly shittily coded game? I'm getting some kind of memory leak while playing World of Warships. So I went ahead and I googled it, and there's nobody else suffering from this kind of problem. So I was completely at my wit's end, and the only solution appeared to be play World of Warships for an hour or more, and you have to quit out and restart the game just to ensure that you get an adequate frame rate. So anyway, I mentioned this to my friend Roy. Some of you may have met Roy at Tankfest. He was the one wandering around with the Jingles stunt double t-shirt on. People often mistake him for me, because while I'm sitting in a tent doing a meet and greet saying hello to people, he's off wandering around with Rita, and he's an older guy with a beard, not a lot of hair, and glasses, although he's a lot skinnier and a lot taller than me, but people still mistake him for me, so he's gotten himself a Jingles stunt double t-shirt. Anyway, Roy said, I don't think it's World of Warships. Do you by any chance have Origin installed on your PC? I said, yes, I do. What's that got to do with anything? For those of you who don't know what Origin is, it's Electronic Arts Content Delivery System. It's exactly like Steam except for Electronic Arts games. It's like Uplay from Ubisoft. And yeah, I do have it installed. I don't know why I still have it installed, because I only installed it to get Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was a massive disappointment. Played it for 5 hours, finished the single player campaign, which was unrelentingly stupid, and also ended on a cliffhanger to make you buy the DLC to continue the campaign when it comes out. Yeah, no thanks. So yeah, I've uninstalled Star Wars Battlefront 2, and there's no reason for me to have Origin installed. He said, go ahead and uninstall Origin and then see what happens. So I went ahead and did it. Uninstalled Origin, and I've been playing World of Warships a lot this weekend. I've absolutely been kicking the arse out of World of Warships, actually. I've been mostly playing, last week I was playing the new Tier 7 operation, and this weekend I've been playing Operation Killer Whale, I think it's called. They've gone back to one of the Tier 6 operations, and I've been doing 6 to 8 hour sessions of World of Warships with 75 frames per second all the way through, after uninstalling Origin. So if you're having frame rate issues with World of Warships, like I was, and like I had Origin installed on my system, try uninstalling it and just see what happens. In fact, even if you're not having frame rate issues with World of Warships, even if you don't play World of Warships and you have Origin installed in your system, please, please, please uninstall it and stop giving money to Electronic Arts. You're only encouraging them. And on that bombshell, that's it for this week's episode of Mingles with Jingles. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see some of you at the Combat South Christmas fancy dress game next Sunday. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.